Well, now it's my turn. What I'm going to show you guys is some open source project that we have. Um, is usually easier to use something open source than to make it something open source. We were talking about that before. So let's see which screen I'm sharing. So just one sec. Let's share a screen. And I want to share screen number 2. Great. So can anyone see my screen now? Can anyone confirm? Manuel, maybe?
Yep, confirmed.
Yeah, so you're seeing the GitHub page, right? So what I have here is a combination of modules that I have done for basically some of the customers. The ideas came from actually several customers that we have. And I decided, okay, this is common between all of them. Let's make it public, and they agree with it. So um, here we have the main page for the Ultra modules. There is only like 3 modules actually. But the one that I want to show you is the one that we get most requested for, which is the universal search. So here I have a SAF solution. Let me close all of this. And basically, this is the model that I'm going to show you today. It's an agnostic module. So the idea about universal search is that you want to do a search within all your application, every part of your application, or the domain objects that you want to expose to your user. So this is like really easy to implement. Basically, you only have one attribute that you will use in basically most of the classes. So if you want to implement that, for example, you can add this decoration to your class, and you can tell it like, once the object is found, which properties you want to display. And then you can also include like as a format string. So this is how the result will show when it shows on the list of results. So it will show the customer code and the customer name and where that customer is from. So that's the thing that you need to make your object searchable in general. So beside that, it should work mostly like the normal searching stuff. So let me run this. Let's log in. So here is the data that I have so far. I have countries and I have customers. So both of these classes are marked with the universal search attribute. So if I want to search over them, I go to universal search icon here in the navigation item, and basically this replaces SAF search in general. So for example, let's go to the data right now. Let's check the customers. Let's see, we have a few customers we have Alexander Pushkin from Russia here, and Anna Karenina, so some famous characters. And basically, let's look for something, for example here, Cristobal Perez, he's from Chile. And also we have Chile in the country list. So I can go to universal search and search for the word Chile. And see, I got 4 records. One is a country object, and the other one are customers. And here is the format string. So basically, it's a wide application search. So it's really useful when you want to locate something in your application, and you don't know exactly which entity it is, or you're looking for a text in your whole application. And the neat thing about this is, first, that it's agnostic. It's not platform oriented, so it will work on a web or Windows. And also is that, for example, here we have 2 different type of objects, right, in the same list. So the module, what it's doing is basically is remapping the default action. So when I double click in a result, I will go to that detail view. So for example, here I have the detail view for country. And when I open a customer, I have the detail view for customer, and this is the customer that I'm seeing here in the record. So I think that this is something that can be really productive if you have a really wide application with a lot of entities and you want to search like through all of them. So that's why we get a lot of requests for this. And most of the time I tell the people, just take the code, is there, it's free and it's open source, so just go and get it. Because we are not compiling at the moment the newest for each version, because that is a lot of work in general. We do it from time to time, but only when it's needed. So if you need to get something from Ultra, just go and get the code or you compile it yourself. So this is the first one that we get a lot of requests for. And I'm going to
that is this, Jose, just a quick thing. I think that's a really good module, because I can imagine something like this when you have like a help desk system or people calling in your office and they are not 100% sure where to find the last bit of information or something like this. They go to the screen or some kind of that screen, because it's XAF, it's modular enough so you can reuse it in another context. But if you get called and I have no idea where to find the information quickly, I can do a whole search on the application and get to the right data.
And also it's because we have another module that is internal, that is an activity stream, like a Facebook wall. So then you need to do broad searches in general. So this module is useful for that. And whatever you want to include, you just decorate it, set the properties, and let's say the how you want to format it, and that's it. I mean, I think that there are possibilities to making this better, but
there is a question from GP when a customer has 1,000 plus records, would the result be 1,000 plus entries or 1,000 plus orders, for example?
Well, I was thinking about that just this morning before the demonstration. And yes, what we need to do is like put some settings in screen here to say like, okay, I want the first page of all the results. I want the second page, because otherwise at the moment it's returning basically everything. In Windows form with the local database is not a problem, but if you have a remote database, that can be slower. So basically we want to add some options like bring me everything as is happening, so we can make it faster. I mean, so far is the search functionality that we have, but we want to make it better. Actually, I'm rewriting this module.
Question is like find score is like the question. So, But so I think we get the point.
Yeah. There is also, JP, if you want to give me a hand with this module, let's work on this together. I mean, this is like quite fun to have it, and I think it's really useful. So basically, I'm working on that. I was working on that this morning. I want to release a new version. I wanted also to make a version for XPO, pure XPO in general, because I have some applications that are pure XPO and Blazor. So I want to have this functionality because I like it a lot. So, okay, that is the first module.
There's, I will.
Yeah,
on the chat.
Yeah, so thanks, Manuel. So the second module, sorry,
Jose. Hello. Is possible and customizer for only 6 or 10 business object entity, or is for the whole universe search in all business?
No, actually, I'm only searching in the one that have this decoration, the universal search attribute. So you don't need to do, I mean, this will not search in all the entities in your XAF application. It will search only in the entities that you register with this attribute. So maybe you don't want to show something that is like maybe forbidden to see, maybe some private data. So if you don't put this, it will not be included on the search, basically. So that's the idea. If you want to show it, you put the decoration. If you don't want to show it, you just leave it as it is. So, okay, let's move forward with another module. And I got a lot of requests for this one. And also, this is not part of the Ultra module so far. I mean, there is a different version. We used to have a scripting module that compiles a C# assembly that you can use in your application. But that approach was like too difficult to maintain. So now we have the Gin machine. So basically Gin is a JavaScript engine that is able to interact with the runtime of .NET. So you can write JavaScript code that will execute .NET code in the end. So here I have some examples of it. I mean, when I wrote this, I was getting crazy because I liked this idea so much that I could not stop working about it or thinking about it. You know how it is when you get possessed by an idea. So let's wait for this to load and let's see what we have here. So let's wait a little bit. Okay, so the idea of the Gin machine is to be able to create the scripts and then interact with XAF parts. So for example, let me close all of these tabs. So this is what we have so far. We have three types of scripts. General scripts, we have property editor scripts, and then we have state machine scripts. That, you know, I know that the state machine is the most beloved module in XAF, at least for me. So let's start with something like really simple. For example, which one is a small one? Show message. I hope that this works because this actually have a problem when I'm running Zoom, when I'm sharing my screen. It is follow the notification. So let's see if today this will work. So really simple script. I only have one function that is called show message. Then I have the text that I want to show and the type of notification and for how long I want to show it. And for this, I'm using the rich text editor from Developer Express. So it's really nice because you can do stuff like this. You can change colors in your code. So I like this more than Visual Studio in general. I wish I can have like autocomplete at Intellisense here, but since you can have all the type of colors that you want, it's also really, really nice. For example, if I want to make this another color, I can just make it, I don't know, red. Oh, it didn't see, it didn't work. It's like the demo effect. But anyway, so let me run this script and let's see how it goes. Yeah, here we have the notification. So whatever you can have some output. You can have the output here, or you can interact with some part from XAF. So let me show you some more complicated scripts. So for example, let me show you let's see the person object. We have one person here. It says person from JavaScript. So let's go and find that script. We have this script here, like create object and instance. So let's see. This is what we have here. So we get the type, we send the full type, then we create an object space, then we figure out we create the object, the instance, and then we set the values, and then we commit the changes and show a notification in the end. So all the code is encapsulated in this function, and then we are calling this function. So just for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to change this, and it will be XAF community stand-up. So let's save this and let's run it. So success, and let's go to the person's object and let's refresh this. So here we have the records created by JavaScript in the end. So we have a little bit more complicated examples. For example, let's see here. You can do an HTTP request. Basically, you can interact with all the .NET runtime. So here what I have is we get an HTTP client. Then with this client, we make a request to this URL. Basically, it's a demo URL. You will always get the same JSON. And then we log the status and we log the response. So if we execute this, here we have the JSON that this call will return anyway. And we have like one other example that I want to show you, that is get secure object space provider. So this one is really neat because here I'm getting an object space that is impersonated as an admin. So you can tell it, okay, log in as this user and get this object space. So you will have those permissions for this object space. And for example, then after we get the object space, we can create an object. And basically, this will use SAF permissions in the end. So I'm going to create one object as an admin, and then I'm going to change to another user. So you see that it will be forbidden by the security system. So this will be person from admin user. So let's execute this, and it's working. And if we go to the person list and we refresh this, here we have the person from the admin user. But if we change this to user, which doesn't have permissions to create anything, and we execute this, see, we're getting an exception, and is that is prohibited by the security system rules. So the scripts can work along with basically everything that is inside of SAF. So this is good because you can tell, run this script as the admin, or run this script as salesperson, or as this person in general. Also, we have some scripts. Let's come here, like that can interact with the UI. For example, this script will get a controller. This is the full name of the controller that I want to get from SAF. And then from that controller, I want to get the simple action one, and I will change the caption to caption from JavaScript. So that action is actually, if we come here, is this dummy action. So if I execute this script, I will change the caption for this. So let's execute it. See, and I change the caption. So you can do a lot of stuff with those scripting. Like, I think they're really useful in general. So let's see, what else do we have here? Well, you can make an action out of this script. So for example, let's see what we have. We have this show message action, right? So let's make this script an action. So this script should be an action. It will be for, let's see, where do we put it? Let's put it in the person object. And I want to show it in the detail view. So let me save this, save and close. So let me close all the tabs. I'm not a tab person. If we go to the person object, here the action is not showing, right? Because it's the list view. But if we go to the detail view, here in the script section, you will see show message and, for example, data editor. In this case, I'm going to execute this one. And basically showing the message, right? So you can make your scripts, you can put them in actions and put them in any place on the screen, basically. And let's see. I have some scripts property editor. For example, if you have seen the example, I think the example is actually here. Oh, I need to fix this layout. So let me fix it like really quick. And then I need, well, I need just that. So here is the link for the example, like the official developer's example on how you should get how you can modify the settings for a property editor. So basically, I'm doing the same. I'm getting a property editor, and I'm getting the property editor for the person object in the detail view. And basically, I'm replacing the control to have a different value in general. So let's go and check another one. I have the string property editor change. So you can interact with any part of the property editor, caption, value, or control settings in general. And let's see, what else do we have here? And also,
Chris, a quick question from the chat. From Fernando asks, just how said that the script, does the script have support for try catch, logical null exception, if then case?
Yeah, actually,
for basic logic.
Actually, if you want I mean, most of the stuff are supported, but those are not created by me. So if you go to GitHub, Gint, you will see the implementation of the language, like how many features are already implemented. I mean, if you go also to the Gitter chat of this project, it's huge. It's a lot of people making contributions to it or asking stuff about it. So most of the stuff you can handle, and you have some really neat features. I have not exposed them yet to XAF, but for example, you have, let's see, let's go down a little bit. You have constraints. I think this is really important when you're doing scripting. For example, you can tell it there is a memory limit. I don't want this script to use more memory than this. So in that case, you can protect your system from some people writing maybe bad scripts or bad intent. I mean, do it something with being evil somehow. Like, hey, I want to break the system, so I will write a script that will loop all the time and take a lot of memory. So you can set a limit of memory here. Also, you can set a time interval. I don't want this script to run longer than this time. Giving like 10 minutes. If it's 10 minutes long, maybe it's hang up, so you can kill that process. So you can set some limits there. All of this, you can set that in code at the moment, but there's no UI for it. But I want to expose the UI because I think that each script should have a set of options. I don't want this to use more than this memory or to run longer than this in general. And also you have all these possibilities with the .NET interoperability. And what is neat, but I don't have an example here, is that you can also include JavaScript libraries in your code. So you can mix and match JavaScript and .NET at the same time. Maybe you have a regex, a regular expression JavaScript library that you like a lot, that you've been using for so long. So you can include it here. Maybe .NET doesn't work like that, but you can execute that JavaScript actually from here. So basically what you're seeing in here in the scripts are what you can write in here is the mix of .NET and JavaScript in the end. So whatever flavor is best for you, maybe you have a lot of libraries in JavaScript that you want to include, or maybe you just want to make some dynamic code in .NET. Here is the place to do it. And we were talking about this with Dennis, that I'm the person who loved the state machine module. So you can also make a script for the state machine. So for example, this is also with wrong layout. So let me put this here and make this bigger. So for example, here where I don't have any state machine created, I think you can select the state machine, then you can select the state and the transition that you want to listen to. So when that transition happens, then you execute some code there. So, you should ask Dennis about it, because at the moment I'm using the rich text editor, and I was doing some experiment with Monaco editor, which is the one that is used by Visual Studio Code. But the thing is that all of these are experiments and they take a lot of time to figure them out. So if anyone wants to collaborate with
maybe we can get to that later, but I don't have a demo for VS Code, but I have quite a strong idea about Monaco, because I worked at Runrex, so I really know that thing.
I've been trying to figure out Monaco, so if you want to contribute, Manuel,
maybe, but let's go on with the demo. But the question was, when do you support Intellisense in the code editor? I think the answer is when it's implemented.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I'm looking forward for the Intellisense because I use it a lot. I mean, and everyone uses it a lot in general.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there are some things that I really like about the, let's see, just let me close all of this and let's go to the normal script. Let me take this script. So let's see, view, why I don't see the, oh yeah. There is something that I like this better than the Intellisense feature. Like, For example, if let's see, maybe it will not work at the moment, but you can highlight the stuff. You cannot do this in Visual Studio, in normal Visual Studio. So you can write like, or also you can change fonts like, hey, like this is a comment, right? This will not execute, but you can make that comment like really big if you want. I wish that Visual Studio can have something like this, like more like a word editor that you can change colors and everything for you, because that will help you to figure out some stuff. You can have some visual cues about, hey, I need to work on this. Like, for example, I can make like, Jose, don't forget about this and what an awful. So, and then you can make it red if you want. So you will not forget about it. See, you have like a big stuff there. And also
my eyes.
So, and the funny thing is that this will execute anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter which format you put on the text. I'm extracting the text and executing just the text in the end. But you can do any rich format that you want. That is something that I really like, actually. So
Saptip Omar did just a quick comment on it. CodeRush has that feature, and I think you can even add images. I think you can even add images in that too.
No,
but,
yeah,
But the thing is, of course, it's a rich text editor. It has all the features from the RTF editor. Thing is, like, you have to think about when you use that scripting feature, what are the goals? I totally get it. It's a really cool feature to implement in a larger system where you don't have to redeploy all the stuff and you have to make adjustments and modifications to the system, and the model editor itself isn't enough for the commenting feature and getting into Monaco, for example, getting Intellisense to work, all that kind of stuff is a hard road. But I really get the feature. It's really cool.
Basically because you can interact with a lot of parts from XAF that, that you don't need to recompile. So it depends. If you have a XAF application with just one screen, you will not include the script editor for that. But if you have some type of an ERP type of system, maybe you want to do a script, okay, like when this invoice changes status to this from this script, send an email or something like that. So that you can do is not a lot of code, because don't write your whole application in scripting, please. So just make those stuff that you can change, like can really give you a hand. And also this script,
one question. One more question. That's for me. For now, scripts are stored in a database. Okay. And is there any kind of cycle where you get the scripts out of the database and get it back into the release cycle, or is this just an idea?
I wanted to have something like you extract them so you can run them from Visual Studio or something like that, so you can have debugging and stuff, other stuff. But basically, I have the idea of how to implement that, how to attach this script to a process and then do debugging. But again, this takes a lot of time, and you have your normal work in general. So there are some ideas that are just beforehand.
Just for me, so I can understand it, it's like you have your XAF solution, your product, your AAP system, stuff like your XAF solution, and you have a customer or some customers that need more customization that the model editor provides. So you need to write some kind of modifications, but they are so small, you just put it.
It's not worth it to recompile in that sense.
Yes. Okay.
Because this is basically, we were talking about that with Javier, and he told me, well, that is nice if you're a really technical person, but this is an overkill for the normal user. I mean, sometimes like some even small screens are complicated for them. Can you imagine like, hey, you can write a script for everything? And also
Gustavo asked the question, why not C# scripts?
Well,
I think I can answer that question as well.
Go ahead.
The main problem is C# isn't a scripting language at all. And it's hard. There are dialects. There is like, there's Cake out there, there's Script Sharp, there are a lot of options out there, but it's really, really hard to get into. First of all, it's hard to scripting is easier in JavaScript than in a strongly typed language. And the second thing is there is no clear dialect from Microsoft. Let's do VBScript, says GP. Yes, if we do VBScript, we can go 20 years back to Excel scripting again, lol. LOL. No, the thing is, I think JavaScript is a great scripting language for that purpose.
Yes.
C# is really, really hard to script because it isn't officially scripted.
Yeah, and also, Manuel, there is some stuff regarding the references that you need to check, and the compilation is not interpreted. You have to compile it and then include it in your application with the application domain. So the first version in Ultra of the scripting module, you were writing C# or Visual Basic, but it was harder to maintain because you need to compile that, make sure that you have all the references, create a project in memory, and then include that in your application domain. That, even though that was the first idea, I thought that maybe you don't need to include all the references. You don't need to include some, like, it's like, let's work within your application context in the end. So it's like, whatever you need for your application, you should include it in the executable. And with the script, you can basically execute all of that. So in the opposite case, in the original version where I was using Visual Basic and C# in general, it's like, okay, you have this part to include nuggets if you want to download. So it was way more complicated, just all the setup. So when I found Gint and I did some tests, actually started in Blazor actually, because here I have the first scripting screen. So you can create the script templates, and then you can create the scripts like this. And in the end, you can pick the language, C# or VBNet. Then here you have the script code, and here I don't have Intellisense or anything. And then you get the compilation result that will produce an in-memory assembly, and you can save it here. So you can execute it, and next time you start your application, the assemblies that are in all the scripts will be included in the application domain. So they will be available compiled for you. But this doesn't make that much sense, because if you want to do that, you just make a plugin framework where you can load assemblies. You don't need to write that assembly here. So I think that there are two different purposes. If you want to include compile assemblies, that will be, for me, a plugin framework. That is something different than a scripting framework in the end. So I have the two flavors, and with all of this, it's hard to know how to continue. You create them at the beginning for maybe a small set of requirements that you have. And then usually you go crazy. You like it so much that you start writing more code and more code. You need to know where to stop. And when someone is going to use something like this, because maybe everyone likes it, but no one will use it in the end. So, so you need to make sure that you're not wasting your time with this. But it looks like everyone likes the scripting Gint machine. So then
Jose, one quick thought about the scripting thing is, scripting is like for me as a professional developer, it's like there's always the boundary where scripting makes sense, and there is, and I know C# and all the languages. For example, Microsoft did it with Windows, not Microsoft. How's it called? The playbook style of thing, like Python does it, for example, for machine learning and all that kind of stuff. But that's a small area. That's that's not for application development. It's like testing out stuff. It's like a better console application. And for normal application development, you have to get into the boundaries of how do I deploy that, test that, kind of stuff. But I think that's a really, really great example how you can leverage JavaScript in combination with C# and enterprise.
Actually, one of the usages that I gave to this is that I do a lot of machine learning prototypes. So sometimes I just open the XAF application, I include the module, and then I write the machine learning code in top of that as a script. So if you're doing machine learning, then I think there is a lot of value here. And well, since I see a lot of interest, I will publish some more articles in the Facebook group because I think it's a really neat idea. And if you want to collaborate with the Monaco editor, because I've been playing around with it, but it takes time to understand it and how it works. So if you want to give me a hand with that, Manuel, you're welcome to do it.
Sure.
We need more hands.
Sure.
And that's everything from my side.